Welcome to JK Sports 7. I'm Joel. I just wanted to take a few minutes. It's currently Wednesday, the day before the draft. I just want to do my final official mock draft with you guys. We've done a lot of different mock drafts. I've done odds, evens, AFCs, NFC teams. We had a wheel spinning. We had accepting tons of trades. Kevin did a couple mock drafts. We did one together. Just a lot of chaos and craziness. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who sat through and watched all the mock drafts we had. We really appreciate you guys watching the video, liking, and subscribing. We really appreciate it. There's a lot of growth in the channel the last month or so. So really appreciate it. We ask you to continue to watch the channel with us as we move past the NFL draft. We got big stuff going on with the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, the rest of the NFL offseason, baseball season starting. So we're going to try to do tons of content every week to kind of keep you updated with sports and just kind of what's going on in the league. But this week is all about the NFL draft. We want to finish off strong. So with everything kind of sifting through all the noise of the last week or so, I think the draft is kind of shaping up a little bit. We kind of have a better idea of what might happen. We won't know until Thursday, and me and Kevin will be there to kind of react with you as we watch the Steelers and the Texans pick at 20 and 21, and probably through the rest of the draft. And we kind of comment on what happened previously and everything like that. So, but I want this official mock draft for me. Judge me on it, critique me on it. I'm here all for it. So let's hop into it and kind of see what's going to happen here, guys. So we're doing all 32 teams this week, this today. So rate me on it. We may have a few trades, may not. It's to me an interesting draft to watch on Thursdays. I'm super excited. But let's see. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen. So starting the draft off, I think this has been set in stone for a little while. I don't think there's going to be any surprise here with the Titans. I'll skip it real quickly here. Cam Ward, a quarterback. I think that's going to be the pick. They need a quarterback. They offer us a trade with the Giants early in the offseason. They turn him down. They sit their guy up. They turn down meetings with Sadur Sanders. They know who their guy is, and they're going to stick and pick there. Similar to Browns over the last 5 days or so, I think their pick has kind of weighed through the fog a little bit. We kind of know where they're going as well. So I think Travis Hunter is going to be the pick here. Kevin made that pick last time yesterday in our ultimate mock draft. I think he's right there. So Travis Hunter. And I think this is really where the draft begins. I think it's a really interesting pick because you have Abdul Carter there. The Giants got they with the Giants. They have Abdul Carter. They have two good ends. They have Thibodeaux and Burns. Thibodeaux's on his last year of his deal, so not committed to him long term. We have those two ends there, and you have a coach and a GM who are coaching for the job. Is a third outside linebacker, edge rusher, how you want to call it, gonna save their jobs? I'm not sure it is. I think Dable wants a quarterback, but I think Joe Sheen, the GM, is trying to get the best player. I think he wants Abdul Carter, but uh, Dable wants a quarterback to develop. I don't think he's in love with Russell Wilson or James Winston that I currently have there. So I think there's that struggle. They have the best player available. You have a position of need as well. If you got the quarterback, you probably save your job for another year or so. So that's something to kind of think of in this whole mix. Or could they go elsewhere? I mean, in me and Kevin's mock draft, I went tackle. I think the tackles aren't rated as high as previous years. Or back in, I started watching the draft in the early 2000s. It was either quarterback or left tackle every single year. The tackles this year have major flaws on them, and so it makes it tough. You see me, I mentioned this again, the Patriots pick as well, but there's major flaws there. So I don't know if that's really going to save, really do a whole lot to move the needle for you. But I think the GM wins out in this conversation. His job is to buy the groceries. I think he's going to pick the best player and figure it out on the field how to play Thibodeaux, Burns, and Carter. Or I think you could look at Thibodeau being a trade piece to maybe trade back in the first round. I'm not sure how much value you're going to really have in a trade, but someone who needs an edge could look as instead of getting a draft pickup, give up Thibodeau to move back in the draft. But as it sits here with the Giants at 3, I wouldn't be surprised if they take a quarterback here. I really, really wouldn't. But I think they're gonna come try to trade back in the first round to get the quarterback, and here they're gonna sit and take the best player. That's Abdul Carter. I guess in Daniel Jeremiah's rank, he's number 2. This puts the Patriots in a tough spot. I think they want those top two guys, either Travis Hunter and Bill Carter. They're both gone. So you're sitting and looking, okay, well, they want to trade down. That's great. Who's trading up? Who's going to trade up and give the capital up in a draft that is not full of superstars after these, 2 guys to make that trade? I don't see anyone paying the capital move up there to do that. So I think they're kind of tough spot. They're going to have to stick and pick. I think they have to take a position of need. They did some work on the defense. You got Stephon Diggs, which is good, great assets there. But if you don't protect your quarterback, he can't get the ball to any of your playmakers. So I think you got like a tackle here. Look at Armand Membu at right tackle, who's really just a pure right tackle. I don't think he can really go to left. I think it's going to be a tough transition initially. I think maybe you get a system where he starts at right, and eventually 3-4 years on the road transition to left. That could be a possibility, but I just don't think you take that here at 4. I think that you're going to take somebody who's going to be, everything I've heard and seen is he's a off the bus type of guy who's rally the team together, really just kind of bring them together, and can play different positions offensive line. The arm length could be a concern, but I think he's going to be overall a better player in that to help set the tone for the offensive line. And that's going to be Will Campbell, offensive tackle from LSU. So these 4 picks, I think, have been chalked in a lot of different mock drafts. I think that nothing too crazy going to happen here. I think teams are kind of locked in. Don't really much trades really happening here. As I walk through the draft, like I said, it's going to be tough for teams to really want to get the capital trade up, but there's a lot of guys kind of in that middle row, and that's all in that same tier. The top tier guys with Travis Hunter and Bill Carter. I'm putting Cam Ward based on position up there in that top tier. And then you have a middle tier here, and then a bunch of guys in that kind of third tier there, where teams aren't really going to differentiate between all the different edge players they have in the draft or the different corners and so I think that they're going to be all kind of wedged in the middle, which is going to prevent a lot of movement in the draft. But this is a position here with the Jaguars. I don't think they're going to trade out, but Mason Graham's a mocked here over and over and over again. And I think over the last couple of days, you've seen certain rumblings and kind of some talk about like that may not be the pick. You gotta remember they just brought over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator, so he's gonna try to make a stage for himself, and he's probably gonna do it on the offensive side. I mean, the Jaguars have some talent on the defense. They have Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen on rushing the passer already. So I don't know if you do another guy like Mason Graham. I think you look elsewhere. And I'm going to – this is a very important year for Trevor Lawrence. Big contract. You have to make him the best that he can be. And where was he the best in his career? At Clemson, throwing big targets down the field. And we look at the draft, who can fit that mold there? I think talent-wise, it's a little bit high for the player. But I think that you got to look at the need. You only need one team to fall in love with you to make the pick. I think the Jaguars are going to go with a weapon. I think they're going to go with Ted McMillan will be the pick here. A big 6'4" wide receiver to give the Jaguars some, help in that field. They lost Christian Kirk. They have Brian Robinson. I think this is a different player than Brian Robinson, is Ted McMillan. So it gives you some good versatility here. A good established wide receiver core. To help them out there. Another position I've seen is Tyler Warren to kind of replace Evan Ingram, who lost. I've seen Ashton Jeanty been drafted here in co-mock drafts. I don't think they go there. I think you can look at if you want a running back, you can go a little later in the draft. I think you look at, they have Tank Bigsby last year. They still have ETN on his last year's deals. They have some options there. I'm not sure if this is the place you're going to take the player. I think you want to help Trevor Lawrence out with some more receivers, and Tevin McMillan will be that guy. Another position here at 6, the Raiders have been mocked. Ashton Jeanty, I think, since the beginning. I mocked him there multiple times, and I think Kevin did as well. That's the kind of the consensus pick there is Ashton Jeanty. I don't think they're going to go there. I think you look at the ownership team and you look at who they have. They brought a guy in from the Buccaneers in the front office. Tom Brady's there. They're going to value that running back, or they're going to look somewhere else. Also, Cole Millen wants a new contract, so that's not a long-term solution. And so this is a position I feel like offensive line makes a whole lot of sense. They need some more help there. They need to help Geno Smith out. They need to help the receivers. You got to build everything around there. I think Geno Smith's the short-term solution, but not like the long-term solution on there. And the current depth chart isn't stacked with guys there. They have DJ Glaze, the current right tackle. I do like Cole Miller. I like Jackson Powers-Johnson quite a bit. I think he helps solidify and help the whole team out and get a big ugly, as they call him. And Armand Bembou is a great pick. Starter right tackle. The guy, I forget his name, the guy from the Bucs they brought in the front office. It was Wirfs. Wirfs played right tackle forever, eventually moved over to left tackle. I think Bembou can do that. Cole Miller wants a new contract. Also, he's getting older up in age. So Bembou shots are right. Have your bookends. Then you can work from there and get the talent there. This puts the Jets in a tough spot. I think the Jets would love to have Armand Bembou help solidify their offensive line. But since he's gone, where do we go? I think they could go defense, look at edge. They could go D tackle. I think it's a little bit early for some of these D tackles. But a guy that I'm really high on. I mean, this also could be a trade spot, but I don't necessarily think, again, who's going to give up the capital to move up here to the 7th spot to grab the guy. Maybe the Cowboys could, but I don't know if that all the way up to 7th. They might be a little bit late. I don't think the Jets really want to go too far. A guy that I'm super high on, I think that can make a big difference on their team. It's going to be on the defensive side. I know Mason Graham's still sitting there, which is wild, but I think they need someone who can do a lot of different things on the defense and help that defense out. You have offensive playmakers already. I don't think you need more. I don't think Jeanty is really that much. Is going to be that much better. I mean, Breece Hall is still there. You have the young guy there as well, the 20-year-old guy, the running back. So you have some. Brandon Allen's name. I think you look on the defense side, help them out even more. I think Jalen Walker is a phenomenal talent. I think he could even go higher than this. He could go 2-4 to New England or 5 to Jacksonville. I think he's a great player. I think the Jets would love to have Jalen Walker as that pick for them. Help the defense out. Can do off ball. Can rush the passer. Can do a lot of different things in that scheme. It gives them more versatility on that. So Jalen Walker will be the pick there because the tackles are gone. I don't think they're running back. I think he's the last that top tier guys in that top tier, maybe second tier with the top guy there. I think he's the last one of those real thoroughbred guys. So besides Jeanty, we'll leave him in there as well, but I think he's going to fall a little bit. The Carolina Panthers, I think they like Walker. I think they would love to have Walker there. He's gone. I think they want edge, but is there an edge you really want to take there? D tackle, you could look at Mason Graham there. I'm not so sure. I think this is the spot for the first trade I'm going to have. And I think the Panthers really want to get out of this pick. I think they want to get more picks down the road. They need a lot of help all over the board. And so I think Jerry Jones wants to make a splash. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to trade with the Carolina Panthers to get ahead of the Chicago Bears, get ahead of the New Orleans Saints, to get their running back of the future. I think Ashton Jeanty will be the pick here for them. And again, guys, I'm going to do the trim. I'm just going to kind of push it through. this website's a little tough to kind of get some realistic trades through here. I think it will cost them a little bit, but obviously not as much as I'm going to offer them. I just want to get the trade pushed through there. And then, like I said, the Cowboys will get their running back. They did this will be the fourth time they kind of got a big running back in the first round. Ezekiel Elliott and Smith, Herschel Walker, I believe it was him. So like I think this is the pick. They get their top tier running. They got blasted in the media for not having a wide receiver. I'm not getting running back last year. Tried to do running back by committee. It just didn't work out. I think Ashton Jeanty is the best running back in the class. I think there is a pretty good gap there between him and the next guy. So Ashton Jeanty to the Cowboys. This is the first trade. This is the draft still going to mix up. I think we get some trades like you see some small jumps here. I don't think you're going to see a guy come from 28, 30 all the way up there, or even from the high teens in the top 10. I think it's too big of a jump. I think these small little incremental things is what they're going to look at to do in the draft. The New Orleans Saints, I think I've never sold on the Saints to Jeanty, but there's been some talk around that. I just don't see it. I just think that they will not want to do that. I think the Saints want to go edge. I think they could go quarterback here with Derek Carr. I'm not sure what to make of that situation. Hurt. It seemed like he was fine going the season. Then he was hurt. Then he wasn't hurt. I'm not really sure. I think it's a little bit early for I'm not sure to make of it. I'm befuddled by it. I need this pick. I want them to go defense. I think the defense would be a good pick for them. There's some value there in some players. And could the whole Derek Carr thing just be a smokescreen? Just to get people to trade up with them, try to get ahead of them. We want you, Derek. We want Jackson Dart. Is that all? I'm not really sure. I'm more on the other side, like them not going to go quarterback there. I think they can go defense. I think they'll look for a Cam Jordan replacement. He's older. He only got about a year left in his great career. A guy that I really like is Mikael Williams. I think he's overshadowed by Jalen Walker. But I don't think they're going to go there. I think they're one of those teams that are going to fall in love with the raw talent of Shamir Stewart. Cam Jordan can, help develop him for a year, and then he can take over that role in that spot. So I think Shamir Stewart would be a fit there. Help that edge out. They have a lot of holes. I just don't know. I just don't see him taking the quarterback there. It's a tough fit for me there. So the Bears sitting there. The Bears will love to have Ashton Jeanty. He's gone. They'll love to have a tackle. Both the top two are gone. I think a guy to look out for here could be on the rise on tackle position is Josh Simmons and Kelvin Banks. I think they're both rated by NFL teams a lot higher than what being drafted at. Banks' tape's great. He held up against, great players in the SEC. Held up phenomenal. I think Josh Simmons is better than he's getting credit for. I think they can go higher than they thought. I just have a hard time thinking the Bears are going to take another offensive lineman. They already got 3 new offensive linemen. Do you want to give a fourth? The thing that makes me think they do is that Ben Johnson came from Detroit. They built the offensive line, and they built players around afterwards. And they don't really need the other positions where there's talent here. They're not really looking at, they have good receivers. They have DeAndre Swift, but I like DeAndre Swift. I think with Jeanty off the board, I don't think they go with, Amarian Hampton or Trevon Henderson there. And I think I wouldn't be surprised. I had one of my other mock drafts, Trevon Henderson going to the Bears. I wouldn't be surprised, but 10 seems a little bit high. Even though they did take Ben Johnson on that staff that took Jahmyr Gibbs much earlier than I thought they were going to take him on there. So the defense side, they have Montez Sweat. They brought in, a couple of Grady Jarrett, Dayo Adebatu. I butchered that name. So I don't know if they go edge there. They have some good linebackers. They have some good corners and things like that they're developing. So it's a tough spot. So where's the best fit? I think the one thing they can look at, I guess, I don't get the tight end pick here. They have Cole Kmet. Are you only going to spend 2 really high draft capital picks on tight ends? Have 2 depth tight ends? That seems odd. I think there's other tight ends later in the draft that you can get, like a Mason Taylor from LSU. I think is a great fit there. I don't know if you need to get. I don't know if that's a backup tight end seems odd to take in the top 10 picks. So with that being said, after all this said, as I said, I think Ben Johnson's put a staple on the team with offensive line, make them those big uglies and go tackle. And I think he's gonna fall in love with Josh Simmons at tackle from Ohio State, and that's gonna be the pick. Rebuilt the offensive line completely in 1 year. Something as a Steelers fan we can't figure out how to do, but I think Ben Johnson is going to make sure that offensive line is good. Caleb Johnson's protected. Caleb Williams is protected. And he can make the throws with the skill position guys down the field. The San Francisco 49ers, they have so many holes in their roster. They lost so many guys this year in free agency, and they have so much dead cap space that they could really go anywhere. They could really go, even offensive line. They've got, Trent Williams, but he's 40. He's going to miss games. Is that really the guy you want to go with there? They lost Javon Hargrave there. They lost Deebo Samuel. They lost Drew Greenlaw. They lost Darius Ward. They lost a lot of key guys. And so I think they have to look at guys like who can step in and play this year. They can't take developmental guys, that risky guys. They need to take guys that can start day one and play. They are one of the teams that have to nail this draft more than any other team in the draft. They lost so many guys, and they have so much cap space, and they need to pay their quarterback. So they have a lot of needs in rebuilding, and they need to hit guys on this draft. And the fact that Mason Graham fell to them, I think, is a big blessing for them. Because he can step in day one, be a solid starter for the next 8, 9, 10 years on the road, and help solidify that defense from the guys they lost. So I think it's crazy he fell this far, but the fact that he did fall this far, I think they love that, and they take Mason Graham. The Panthers, they did trade back with the Cowboys. I think there's still a lot of good talent here. I think they're very happy with that. They probably end up getting a third-round pick, maybe a third or sixth, do some pick swaps later on that. I think they're very happy, though. I think one of the guys I love them to take is still there, hometown guy. I think he got overshadowed a lot by Jalen Walker, but I think Mikael Williams' edge for Georgia is a great fit for the Carolina Panthers. I think they would like to have Jalen Walker, but when the pick came, Jalen Walker off the board. So I think they've traded back, and I think that Mikael Williams is still there. I love the pick for the Carolina Panthers. I think I could pick even if they stuck at 8, take Mikael Williams. I think he's that good of a talent for them. The Miami Dolphins is they're a tough one. I don't know what's going on with the Miami Dolphins. They want to trade Tyreek. They want to trade Jalen Ramsey. Tua, who knows if he's going to be healthy the whole season? Probably not. The offensive line seems a little crazy. They were a top contender probably going into last year. They were, talk about playoff teams and stuff like that. Now they're stuck here at 13 picking. Where are they going to go? They feel like they have so many needs. You can look at corner, which I like a lot at corner. If Jalen Ramsey is really gone, you need to replace him. They also lost Javon Hargrave. I'm sorry, not Javon Hargrave. Javon Holland. You can help replace him. I think one player that can help fill a multitude of different holes for them is Jahad Barron. He can play safety. He can play slot corner. He gives you some versatility like a Javon Holland did for you. That's not there anymore. I like the player. I think he's underrated in a lot of things. The fact that he's rated 19 overall here, I think he's a better player than that. With his versatility and the things he can do, he's locked down. People, can you play outside? I don't want to play an outside corner every single play, but he can go there for a couple plays, substitute in there, be that the lockdown slot, or move back to safety, help you out there as well. I think Mike McDaniels will fall in love with him and Jahan Perry. The Colts. I think if this could go a couple different ways here. What falls here, I think the kind of consensus pick and who I'm going to pick for them is a tight end. They've been looking for that tight end for a few years. I think last year they wanted Brock Bowers. Obviously, the Raiders got him before they could get to him. So I think they get their tight end here. They need that kind of with a Dallas Clark type tight end who can kind of stay in line, block, go and do routes. I'd be interested to see how they value Warren and Loveland. What's their rating on those two guys? It feels like the type of team they are. I feel they view Warren even higher than Loveland. I'm not really sure. I think some teams may love Loveland more than Warren, but I think for the Colts and kind of what they're doing, Warren makes too much sense to pass up. So Tyler Warren. The Falcons. I think I mixed up Georgia with Carolina there, but that's okay. The Atlanta Falcons, they need help everywhere. I think D tackle will be a big need for them. They lost their long-term D tackle, Grady Jarrett. I think you look at safeties, Malachi Starks would be big. That could be a good pickup for them to kind of help the back of their defense. They do have Jesse Bates, I think, still on the roster, if I'm not mistaken. Jesse Bates on the roster. They brought in Jordan Fuller there. Hughes at corner. AJ Terrell still really good. So you got they got lots of talent there. I like their linebacker. I'm a big fan of Troy Anderson. That's just me playing Madden. Troy Anderson's a monster with his speed in Madden, so that's kind of high on him more than the league probably is. I think edge is a good pick here. You could go wide receiver. You have Drake London, but then you have Ray McLeod, Jamal Agnew as your wide receivers. I think there's some great wide receivers on the board a little bit. I like a lot. You look at even like a Mekabuka could fall, Jalen Nolan in the second round, and Jaden Higgins I'm super high on. I think Jack Betch is really good. Shepo, I'm not selling him, but some teams like him. The production was there in college. There's some definitely guys you can look at down the boards, but Matthew Golden's fantastic. I don't think they go there. I think they're going to help replace Grady Jarrett with a big D tackle. So who's your flavor? Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon. Who's your flavor? Who you like more? I think each team is going to grade these guys very differently. I think in this position here, I think Derek Harmon could be a great pick, or Walter Nolan. I don't think Kenneth Grant's that guy for them. I think look at Walter Nolan and Derek Harmon. I like Walter Nolan better for the Atlanta Falcons than Derek Harmon there. Well, it might be a stretch, but I think it's a great pick for them. The Arizona Cardinals. This is another hard one. I'm never really sure where to go with. They bolstered D-line, but they just kind of lack weapons overall. They just lack they got Trey McBride, solidified him, and they got Marvin Harrison. Some good weapons there, but I think you can go a bunch of different players here. I mean, you have James Conner, wide receiver, I'm a running back, but how much treads on those tires still? You brought some defensive guys in with Calais Campbell and Dalvin Tomlinson. Everything maybe don't go there. You could go corner or safety. You got safety Budda Baker. It's just tough where you want to go there. But I think ultimately you gotta look at it and go, you need some help out with the line. Is the biggest thing that I see. I got Paris Johnson, who I like. But besides that, this is lack of depth and talent there. And so I think you're going to look at interior offensive line, Tyler Booker, Greg Zabel. I think Booker's a better player, but Greg Zabel has some position flexibility a little more than Booker does. But I'm going to go with the best player on the board and go, not the best on the board, best player for the position, which is going to be Tyler Booker. The Cincinnati Bengals are next. This is getting tough. A lot of needs there. They need help on the defense the most. I don't think they go offense. They can go defense. And who's still there on defense? I think edge makes a lot of sense. He lost Hubbard. He retired. Hendrickson's not happy there. He wants out. He wants to get paid. I don't think they have the money to pay him. So what are you gonna do there? You could look at corner. I mean, you don't really have any great corner. You lose Mike Hilton, long-term slot corner. And your starting corners are DJ Turner and Cam Taylor-Britt. Marco Wilson's there. Josh Newton. I think you lack some talent there. I think this is a little bit of a fall, but I think with Will Johnson still being that, I've gone edge with the Bengals every single time, but with Will Johnson still sitting there, it just makes too much sense. So I think the Bengals will go Will Johnson as your corner there. The Seahawks are another tough one. I think they need interior offensive line, but I think they also want a replacement for DK Metcalf. I think Ted McMillan, if he doesn't go early, I think this is a good falling spot for him. But a guy that I'm super high on, I like a lot, is still staying there, Matthew Golden. I think you could go. I wouldn't be surprised if they go guard with Zabel, but I think with Golden here, you gotta give more weapons for Sam Darnold. I think we really saw him flourish in Minnesota with multiple weapons to the ball too. I think you go with Matthew Golden here. They could go tight end with Loveland, but I think Matthew Golden I think that's a better fit. I think they want the wide receiver to help replace DK Metcalf. Different players, DK Metcalf and Matthew Golden, not same players, but I think you give them that position of need, help out, Smith and Jigba as well with that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a tough one. Where they want to go. I think that there's a couple of positions I think they can go. I think they could go off-ball linebacker, who I think, again, super underrated there. With like a Jahad Campbell. I love the player. I think Mina Kimes, I watched a lot of, says she's like her favorite player in this year's draft. I think you go there. I think you could go in secondary. The top guys are gone, like a Trey Amos, Maxwell Harris. These guys are going to end up in the first round. Benjamin Morris. These guys are going to move up and be the first round pick, I think, in the draft. Safety, like Malachi Starks. I love the pick there. We have Winfield there, so that really going to be a need. Edge. Mike Green still there. James Pierce. I like Donovan Ezeraku. I think I've knocked him to the Buccaneers quite a few times. But I like Jahad Campbell. I think he's going to help you do a lot of different things in that defense. He's going to help out. You have the aging linebacker there. He's going to help, with that. Help simplify the defense a lot more. So Jahad Campbell there. The Broncos. This is tough. Most drafts, Loveland hasn't been here. He's that wild card you always hear Sean Payne wants. But you have Evan Ingram. You're paying him a good amount of money to be that tight end, to help kind of be that joker type position there. So you can go another guy, you can kind of do similar things. I know they're, Evan Ingram's getting up there, but I don't know if you pay him all that money and then get Colson Loveland as well. You need a running back quite a bit. So that's definitely on the board. You got Marion Hampton still there. You got a Trayvon Henderson, which I think great player. I think he's a much better version of what you got rid of the running back position before. But you get that talent later on. That's what I'm struggling with is I think they need a running back more than need a tight end. But I think the tight end is a better player than the running back is. So how are you going to value those guys? You know what I mean? How do you rank those on your big board there? That's a tough part on there. You could go off-ball linebacker. I think with Jahad Campbell's gone. The corner, I think, a little early for these guys. I think Kevin loved this pick. I'm going to go Colston Loveland. I think he's just a better player than the running backs on the board. I think he's more talented. He's ranked higher on your board. I think you go with that over maybe the higher position needed, which is running back. You go with running backs a little later on in the draft. The Steelers. I don't think the Steelers are going to trade out for a quarterback. But if you're sitting there at 21 and Shedeur is still there, I think the talent's too high to pass up. Aaron Rodgers is not on the roster currently. We are 30 hours from the draft, and they have the current quarterback Mason Rudolph as their starting quarterback. I don't think you want to do that. You want to get somebody else. There are some guys in the later rounds that I think I like a lot. And that's what the Steelers have to make a decision as. Do you go with the quarterback now or go with some probably riskier picks? I know Pittsburgh really likes Quentin Ewers. I like Will Howard quite a bit. There's a lot of talk about Jalen Milroe there. Jackson Dart's still on the board. So the Pittsburgh can't trade back in the first round or even the second round except for the pick. So to get that second round to be a lot of capital, Pittsburgh doesn't want to do that. Pittsburgh likes to have 7 picks. They like to kind of have all those picks. You can pull picks from next year to kind of get those picks up because the expectation is they're going to have 3 or 4 extra compensatory picks. And you go quarterback there. I think the biggest need is going to be D-line. And you have 2 good D linemen here. I just have a hard time thinking if Shedeur Sanders falls at 21, they don't take him. That's my struggle there. And I don't think I can overlook that. I think if he falls, I don't think they're going to trade up for him. I don't think they want to get the capital up to get him. But I think if he falls to 21, I have a hard time seeing Pittsburgh pass him. So Pittsburgh Steelers will take Shedeur Sanders at 21. I think this makes the Chargers super happy. I think that if this happens, I think Jim Harbaugh runs up, gets his guy, and grabs his D tackle from Michigan, Kenneth Grant. And then it's position of need, the guy he knows, talent ranks over the drafting. Great pick there. The Packers. They need a wide receiver. They're not going to take a wide receiver. Where do they go with the Packers? I think they could also look at cornerback and safety. I think they're both gone. Could look at Malachi Starks could be a pick there. I think defensive line they just want to go D line, and there are some good guys like a Mike Green still there. That's a good talent there. Yeah, I think that talent's too good for Mike Green. I think they go to Mike Green there, an edge. Yeah. This is the pick here, the Vikings. I think definitely a trade spot. And with Jackson Dart still there, the Vikings need picks. And so I think this is where the trade's going to happen. They only have 4 picks. So I think the Giants move up here with the Vikings. Again, not realistic trades, guys. Just trying to get the trade pushed through. To the Vikings. Because they'll at least get a second. Vikings will at least get a second round pick, probably a second, third, and maybe next year's first. I don't think that much. But that's a trade, and the Giants get their guy at quarterback and get Jackson Dart. I think that GM's happy with getting Bill Carter here, and the coach is happy getting Jackson Dart here at 24. With Shedeur Sanders gone, I think that they know they can't mess around. I think that this is where they make the trade with the Vikings. The Vikings definitely want to trade back and get more picks. They only have 4 this round, this year. Get more picks, and they don't have any desperate needs. They can go to a lot of different places. So like that. The Texans have 2 major holes I think they need is wide receiver and offensive line. Like Emeka Buka there a lot. I think he could help out in the slot. You're going to lose their speedy Tank Dell for most of the season. but you gotta go offensive line here. And with Kelvin Banks, the talent's just too high. So I think I could see him going a lot higher. I don't think he falls past the Texans here. So the Texans will take Kelvin Banks. With the Rams, a lot of needs. Off-ball linebacker would be huge. Edge would be big. I don't know if these guys really fit what they're looking for. They have some, Mason Taylor, tight end, running back. They could go there. I think they're gonna go. I like the D tackle. They drafted D tackle the last couple of years. So I'm not sure if that's really the fit. Oh, safety's also here too. That's wild. Yeah, I think Emeka Egbuka. Help out Puka Nacua is better than Tutu Atwell. Give him another weapon. You lost Deebo Samuel, they're all the same players, but give him another slot guy. And Emeka Egbuka, I think, would be the pick. I mean, you can also look like a Luther Burden, or even more of a like for like with Deebo Samuel, but I think Emeka Egbuka is a much better player than Luther Burden is. The Ravens here. A lot of talents on the board for the Ravens. Seems like it always has. This could be another trade spot. I think with both quarterbacks gone, I don't think they go there. I think it'll bolster that D line. That's just what the Ravens do. You could look at like a edge guy, like a James Pierce, Donovan Izaraki. Doesn't seem like a Ravens type of guy. I think they go to D tackle. I think Derek Harmon's still staying there. I think they grab Derek Harmon, figure out where to play him on the line. The Detroit Lions. This is, I think, definitely an edge guy. You could go offensive line. Greg Zabel still staying there. Could go safety with both safeties staying there. I think that makes more sense. I'm not sure if this will happen, but the way the draft fell, it is the safeties weren't in position of need. Like I think the Vikings would have took a safety there, but they traded out. A lot of teams don't buy safety as high other positions, but I think the Lions definitely could. The Lions just want to bolster that defense as much as they can. And also the new defensive coordinator wants to kind of put an impression there. They currently have Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. Okay. Not going safety. I kind of thought those guys were on the roster. Could bolster the D-line. I think D-line or edge is where you look at here. I think James Pierce would be the guy. I think his talent's really high. I think that's just some personality stuff. He's going to push him down the board. Yeah, James Pierce. The Commander. I had Commanders going Emeka Egbuka in previous drafts. He's obviously gone. Edge, I think the last main edge there, James Pierce is gone. Izaraki, I do like here. Corner, I think some of these corners may start coming off. I don't think Luther Burden's going to make the first round. So I think you go corner here or safety. I think with the safeties going here, I think you could go with the safety. I think the talent is better at the safety position than the corner position with both Malachi Starks. I think you get like a Nick Imawurie here. Kind of that wild card, defensive, safety and kind of be in the box, almost like a Kyle Hamilton type of player. So I'll go Nick Imawurie there. And then you got the Buffalo Bills. They need help in the back end. Also need D tackle. I think all the D tackle are pretty much gone. That would go in the first round. I don't know if it'll slip in there. I'm going. The edges are kind of gone as well. I think they go corner, help that out. I like Trey Amos for them there. Kansas City Chiefs, somehow they're going to fall. I think Greg Zabel, almost a Joe Thuney split, can do a little bit of everything. I think he's played double tackle in college. So that makes a lot of sense. The Philadelphia Eagles somehow are going to draft a guy that I'm super high on. I just couldn't find a spot for him here in this draft. They lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They continue to build that defense up with Malachi Starks. If he falls in, that's a no-brainer. So this is my mock draft, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I could definitely see some of this happening in the draft. A lot of mix-ups, some small trades there. I don't think there's going to be a ton of trades. I think there's only 2 trades in this one here. But let me know what you guys think. Comment, like. We'll be live on draft day, so I'll be marking off as we go. How many got right? How many got wrong? But like I said, this is probably this is the last mock draft we'll have. Tomorrow we'll have me and Kevin just discussing the draft, what we think is going to happen, not mock drafting, this kind of overall themes we're going to see in the draft. And they'll be live Thursday night with Steelers, Broncos pick, and kind of a view of the first round as well. So thanks again, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate all you guys do for us. So thanks so much. I'll catch you guys next time.